Good morning and welcome to Waking Up with Don. If you have someone in your family with a handicap, like I do, or if you know of someone who has a handicap and you're wondering what the future holds for them, this is an interview you don't want to miss. I have Cynthia McCauley here from the Chautauqua Learn and Serve Charter School here in Panama City, and she's going to get us smart on all the services that Chautauqua offers our friends and our relatives and our loved ones that may have a handicap that need a little extra help in getting through life. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this.
I've heard about Chautauqua for a long time. What exactly is it? What is their charter? What's your mission?
We have two missions.
Mm-hmm.
One is to make individuals with disabilities as independent as they can possibly be, to have a full life. And the other is to educate the community and the world about the sort of society that needs to be created so that each individual with a disability can contribute to this society. And the name says it. We expect to be the servers, not the served. That is our mission.
Well, and it's a worthy mission. You know, I grew up on Staten Island, right near the notorious Willowbrook State School, and a lot of people don't remember that back in the 60s and 70s, there was a huge expose on a lot of these quote-unquote state mental institutions that were really horror shows.
And that was the movement that started the deinstitutionalization of individuals with disabilities.
And now you have organizations like your charter school, like Chautauqua, that is helping to make these people a little more
I just think
functional.
You touched on an important knowledge base that people need to have, that prior to the late 70s, early 80s, most people with disabilities were taken at birth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you grew up in my age group, you might not have seen a lot
just
of people.
Just about 29, 30, something
Yeah,
like that.
that's right. You just might not have seen or known.
Yeah.
So you have that change, that the people are born in their home communities and stay in their home communities.
So you mean they were taken at birth? In other words, if you had a baby who had Downs or had autism or had some sort of disability.
And it was a pretty broad net.
And the doctor would say, well, you can always have another child, just put them in an institution.
They didn't give the mother the opportunity to unite herself emotionally with that baby. It was just gone. Then you have medical science saving so many more that were never saved at birth.
Yeah.
So you have this, and then those that did survive birth had a very low life expectancy. 21 was the average age when I started teaching that a Down syndrome person lived to.
Oh my.
Now they live to be 70 or 80. So we have the first group coming of age in their home community with a life expectancy the same as yours and mine, with more profound disabilities than society has ever seen.
But they can contribute. They're not a burden, are they?
No, and that's what we so much try to work on and show. And we have numerous programs that benefit the school, the community, the elderly, and we try to forge that alliance to go anywhere where services might need to be or can't be done because there isn't funds to do it, and say, hey, we can do that.
So if we use our heads as a community,
Right.
you know, as a society, as you said earlier, you know, we can take these kids that were previously discarded in years past
Right.
and put them to work and make them contributing citizens.
Exactly.
That's awesome stuff. We have to run off to a break, but I want to talk more about that on the other side of these messages and your local weather, brought to you by the West Pittman Law Firm, westpittmanlawfirm.com. Welcome back to the show. I have Cynthia McCauley here from, it's the charter school, Chautauqua Learn and Serve Charter School.
Yes.
And for some reason, it's locked in my brain, Learning Center or whatever. But
It's fine.
you know, we had the most interesting interview during the break, and we talked about dollars and cents and how needed this service is. This population of handicapped people is growing,
Right.
because of medical advances, and it's just our attitude toward the handicap now.
Right.
So, but the funding is not growing in pace with the population, is it?
No, in fact, just quite the contrary. As I said, to go to a day training program after you age out of public education at 22 requires what they call waiver funding. the waiver was frozen in 1999. They have made some adjustments to it, but at greatly reduced services. And the question, and probably the looming challenge, is what will happen with the majority of the kids being cared for by parents who are, like we all are, aging. Where is the answer, and who's thinking about that?
As a father of a child with, or a young man with autism, that's something that bothers us all the time. Someday I'm going to be dead, and what's going to happen to him? He's got a whole big life ahead of him.
Oh, they do. That's just what we're saying. The life expectancy is the same as anyone else's, or probably advancing.
And state governments have realized actual savings when they closed down these huge institutions where we used to just warehouse these kids in the past. And now we saved that money and we kind of forgot about how much we saved and we don't want to spend any more on them.
That is a discussion that we have at school, even with the students, with the young adults themselves, is how to make yourself valued by the community. And I love this example, is that we go to the zoo to volunteer. We have a young man, and we have several in wheelchairs and one on polio crutches. And we have to be careful when they walk by the cages of the lions or some of the other animals, because they literally charge the cage and want to get at them. So I constantly want to remind people of all our shared humanity, all our differences, and try to help society and those in charge of making these decisions to overcome this survival of the fittest mentality.
You know what it is? It's not survival of the fittest. It's survival of the survivors.
Right.
And children are our gifts, are God's given gifts.
Exactly.
That we have to make sure they raise and have a happy, productive life, no matter the handicap.
Right. So when I see obvious ways that they could not only save money and still assist individuals with challenges, it makes me think, well, perhaps they haven't elevated humanity enough. The policymakers need to have themselves enlightened by what could, but it's slightly complex and intricate, the things that you would need to do, say public transit, assisting with housing requirements near the core of the city, keeping the downtown areas vibrant, because that is where they must live.
Because they're the people that will be walking and taking public transportation.
And so the downtown must be vibrant. There must be investment there. Assist the people in the downtown area. I love the move towards sidewalks. Little things like that
absolutely
will make the difference.
Cynthia McCauley, we are so out of time, it's not funny, but thank you so much for coming on the show. And if you know a young adult out there with a handicap who needs a place to go during the day, how do we get in touch with you?
You can find us, look online, call us. It's the Chautauqua Learn and Serve Charter School. The district can connect you if it's hard to remember that. Just yes, they'll find us that way. In fact, you can call the switchboard and ask for where's Cynthia McCauley, and they'll find me.
We'll do that. Cynthia McCauley from Chautauqua Learn and Serve Center or Charter School. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for all the work you do with our handicapped citizens.
Thank you.
Hi and good morning. Welcome back to Waking Up with Don. I'm Zenobia Andrews, your business system strategist, and I am excited to be here in the Max Out Studios bringing you your Max Biz tip for today. You know, all week long we've been talking about what are the 5 steps in maxing it out. In today's tip, we're talking about how to dream big and to create your own opportunities. You know, I'm here to share with you, my friend. I want you to take a moment, just a brief moment, and think about your business. What does it look like? Where is it located? How many employees do you have? And then see yourself making the millions and millions of dollars that I believe that you can make. I'm here to tell you that there is power. There is power in dreaming, and not watered down dreams. I mean big, unimaginable dreams. You see, I believe that once you get to dreaming big, once you realize that it's never too late to see yourself as the CEO, as the big kahuna, that's that's when you can start creating your opportunities in life, right? And we're not going to wait. I don't want you to wait for someone else to create you an opportunity. I want you, if you need to make some sales calls, to make the sales calls. If you need to go door to door to get those contracts, go door to door, because those opportunities are waiting for you. Nobody, my friend, nobody is going to care about your dream, your success in life, but you, okay? I'm Zenobia Andrews, your business system strategist. I am here to support you. So if you need a business coach, I am here. You can reach out to me at www.zenobiaandrews.com. I would love to connect with you on social media. You follow me, I'll follow you back. Take care and continue to press towards the max.
And now it's time for your pet health tip of the week from Dr. Stephen Favaloro from Forest Park Animal Hospital. Doc, welcome back to the show.
How you doing, Don? Good to see you again.
I'm doing great. It's spring break, and people are thinking about vacations, or they're taking vacations.
Absolutely.
What do we need to know about traveling with our pets?
Traveling with your pets, it's a very good conversation to have. One of the most important things when you're traveling with your pet, make sure you bring, your medical records. Particularly if you have a pet that has diabetes or seizures or heart disease, you're on a medicine.
And we've traveled with our pet. I have never thought to bring her medical records with us.
Most people don't. I admit I've traveled before without my pet with medical records, but I don't really need it as much.
Yeah, you are a veterinarian.
But
after all.
it's something you don't think about. But make sure you also bring ample amounts of your dog's own food. A lot of people will travel, won't bring their food, and then they have to go to another store, may not have their food. You change foods that quickly. A lot of times you get upset stomachs. Make sure you bring ample water. People don't think about that. They stop at a rest stop and, who's got water for the dog? Nobody does. The dog's drinking out of a mud puddle, and next thing you got an upset stomach there too.
And Florida's pretty good like that. Some of these rest stops have little dog walk areas.
They do.
And they have little spigots where you can give the dog some local water.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another thing, when you're traveling with your pet, a lot of people stop at fast food. We don't always eat the healthiest when we're on the road, and your dog's sitting there looking at you with those doe eyes, and you give them a piece of your cheeseburger, and next thing you know, you're cleaning up the back of the vehicle.
The family van.
There's either upset tummy or diarrhea, and then that's not fun, and that smell doesn't go away real quick.
No, it doesn't. And our little dog has always been very good on the road, and we haven't traveled with her so much lately. But when our kids were little, we used to take her everywhere with us. And we made sure to pack her treats, that we usually give her at home.
Yep.
Made sure to pack her food,
Yep.
Not some strange brand. And we even brought her bowls with us.
Yeah, and
so it was kind of a familiar piece of home that went with her. Yeah.
A lot of dogs get car sick. If you've never traveled with your dog before, and you're going on a long trip, dog getting car sick. So your veterinarian has good medicines or recommendations for medicines that you can take to prevent car sickness. So you want to get those ahead of time. Sometimes you may even want to try them out a couple of days before you go. Sometimes you'll give a medicine, the dog will have a bad reaction to it, or it won't work, and you're on the road, and here you go in this, got to find an emergency vet, and that's always, not fun.
And it's probably a good idea to wherever your destination is to kind of scope out the veterinarian situation there too.
Make sure you know where the emergency clinics are. Also to pet-friendly hotels. If you're going for a travel where you're going to be traveling for a couple of days, make sure you already have a destination of a hotel that's pet-friendly, and you can find those on the internet pretty easy.
Now, when you're traveling with the dog, we used to let our little dog just kind of run around in the minivan, and she usually sat in one of the kids' laps or something like that. Should you have your dog in a dog carrier?
And that's an interesting, topic, and I know we're all guilty of that. I know I'm guilty of it too. But when you're traveling, and pets are not secured, they could be a distraction to you. They could cause you to run off the road and not pay attention. You're trying to prevent the dog from going underneath your accelerator. I know someone who was in their big RV, and a dog got stuck underneath the accelerator, and they went right through somebody's house when they were going to visit. So, but they make a lot of harnesses out there.
Did the dog have insurance?
No, not sure about that. But they do make a lot of dog harnesses, and people do have them.
I've seen those
that'll
advertised.
secure you to the seatbelt. But do your research research on that, because there's really only one of them out there that really passed the safety test that Subaru actually put forth to test these things. They tested them at 30 miles an hour with different weights of dogs, and a lot of them failed.
What does something like that look like? Is it like a pouch that they sit in, or
well,
is it
it's like it's actually a 3-point harness with the O-ring in the back, and it connects to where the seatbelt locks in.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, and there's one that really works, and I don't want you to have this feeling that just because you have one, it always works. Microchipping is a good thing to do in case your dog gets lost. It runs out of the, runs away, jumps out of the car, you can't find it. Somebody else
can
finds
any
your dog.
veterinarian do that?
Any veterinarian can do a microchip. It's a pretty simple procedure.
Oh.
And
because we always had the little tags and made sure that she had her collar, and just in case she wanders off, somebody know who to call.
Absolutely, you always have a harness or a collar with identification. My dogs at home don't generally run around with collars on, but when we travel, we put one on.
Dr. Stephen Favaloro, thank you so much for that timely health tip of the week for our pets.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Heather Gaither from the Metabolic Research Center, and we're going to talk about weight loss and what you can do to peel some pounds off. Heather, thanks so much.
You're going to peel them off.
I'm going to peel them off. Maybe that was
If only.
if it was that easy.
Oh, my goodness. It would be wonderful.
Maybe that was an awkward twist of phrase.
It sounds good to me.
But now you have a personal story with weight loss, right?
I do. I lost 70 pounds total. So my top weight was over 220 pounds.
Wow. It's hard to believe, actually.
It is, yeah. You'll show the before and after in a minute, and you'll have to say, is that really her? Because I really look very different. Weight changes the way you look. And so the fuller my face got, the fuller my body got, the less defined my features were. So I really do look very different after 70 pounds of weight loss.
And it changes everything, doesn't it? Not just your appearance, but does it change the way you feel about yourself and the way you move and the way you interact with people?
Yeah, it's interesting. When clients come in and meet with me initially, their first thing is they're here they want to wear smaller clothes, or they want to look different. But what I find as they go through the process, which is the same thing I found, I hear less and less about the clothes and less about the size, and more about all of the other things that are changing. And the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. They didn't expect all of this to happen. They didn't know that their energy was going to go through the roof, because honestly they didn't know their energy was low. You get used to something and you're used to it, and so they'd become accustomed to living in that way. And so as all of a sudden they start waking up a little earlier, or they're not lethargic when they get up in the morning, or they're getting up with the alarm instead of hitting the snooze button 7 times, they start to say, wow, I feel better. And then their energy improves, their mood starts to lift, they start to see things a little bit rosier.
So it sounds like a whole lifestyle change, really. And you don't have to go on this big, giant, one-time diet. There's a lot of little things you can do to get this started.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you don't go on a one big-time giant diet, because what that is a temporary fix. You're going to do this for a brief period of time, and then you go back to your old ways, And if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always had.
That makes sense.
And so the key is to start making these gradual changes and to start incorporating new things into your life. So, we talked about earlier talking about making subtle changes at the restaurant with what you order. It doesn't mean that you never order a steak again. It just means that you start to realize how much potato you're going to have, and that you get a vegetable on the side, and maybe you dip your salad dressing instead of smother it. So it's these little changes, adding a little more exercise while you're sitting in your desk at your office.
Yeah, being a little more active. Does that mean I can never go to Starbucks again and get my latte?
No, I'm a Starbucks expert, as the Starbucks people will attest to. So we'll do a segment, and I'll talk to you about all of the awesome ways to make a fantastic coffee that are, 100 calories instead of 700 or 800 calories.
That's right, Heather. You're going to be a regular on the show now.
Yeah.
You're going to come in with a weight loss tip
Yes.
On a weekly basis.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be great for our viewership,
Absolutely.
to just learn those little things that you can incorporate into your day-to-day life to make you happy, healthier, and maybe even feel more attractive.
Yeah, absolutely. All of those things are going to happen, because to be honest with you, you're not, one big change is great, and there's lots of changes that need to happen, but if they happen gradually and you begin to change this and change that, you don't even notice. They just become part of your regular life, and so all of a sudden you're living a healthier life and you're feeling better, and the quality of life is improving, and it's happened over time.
I know people who have struggled with their weight have this yo-yo effect. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things we see, and I was guilty of that and could still be if I didn't keep my awareness up. You know, it is 75% of our country is overweight. And so it has become normal to be overweight, although we know there's nothing normal about it. We know that having diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol is not normal. And so what has happened is that we are trying to be healthy in an environment where everyone is unhealthy. And so it's so easy to just jump back in the other boat and go back to what you're used to.
Yeah, you look at the people around you. You know, you go to a restaurant and just look around.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's the
particularly if
thing
you go to a buffet.
Yeah,
I mean, look around.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, and that's the thing with the yo-yoing is that you know how good it felt to be at your healthy weight, but it's so easy to go back over here because other people are doing it. But when you get here, you say, "I don't like this. This is nothing good about this." So you go back to the weight loss. And so, honestly, it's about incorporating those small changes over time and adopting them as part of who you are, as opposed to a temporary fix. And so as you start to adopt these changes permanently, that's when you can have long-term success.
So you make these little changes and the weight loss will stick
That's
if
right.
we listen to your tips.
That's right.
Heather Gaither, thanks so much for coming on and giving us kind of the overview of what you're going to offer the show and our viewers with the weight loss tips of the week.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. And we will see you next time.